So last video we were discussing about the balance of being a game collector, a video gamer, and life, right? There's a nice balance there, and especially your comments in the comments below really forcing me to examine this thing from a totally different perspective. And it's funny, if not suspicious, how in my YouTube feed the video that I need will pop up just when I need it, that algorithm. Oh, hi China. I love China. Huawei is my favorite phone. Again, I'm not having a midlife crisis. I just want a motorcycle. But there was this video that came up from Get the Greg Games. Get the Greg Games, aka Mr. Gaming Guns, or as I like to call him, aka Mr. Lips.
Naughty, naughty.
Some of you might know this story already, but in his video he was discussing about the Dallas-Fort Worth collection. Essentially, it's a story about two brothers who back in the 80s were like the original sealed video game collectors. They were buying these games new, like Nintendo games, Super Nintendo games, with the rule of two, as we called it in the shoe collecting world. One to rock, one to stock. And as Greg says in his video, it's as organic can get in terms of collectability or collecting. So you fast forward years later, these same games are being graded, being slabbed, and put up for auction in what they're calling the Dallas-Fort Worth collection. And I mean, these are like cream of the crop games, right? Early Nintendo titles, desirable Nintendo titles. So you have to ask, are these brothers gonna cash in on their investment? Are they gonna cash in on that foresight that they had way back in the 80s? Lucky for us, the auction already happened, and you can see the results here. A lot of these games selling for thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. There's a lot of money here. So I think it's safe to say that the auction itself was a success. Sadly, however, the two brothers would not see a dime of this, nor would they even know how well received these items that they've held on for so long were received into the community, into whatever. Because I'm sure, as most of you already know, the two brothers died way before this auction even happened. And their estate, who is in charge of managing all their things after they passed away, actually sold these games raw and put them into the hands of like these other people who I guess knew the market already. And those guys ended up paying like pennies on the eventual dollars that these games ultimately got. To me, that's like a really sad thought. I would have loved to have met these brothers, to interview them, ask them, why did they do this? What did it mean to them? All the years of them holding on to these games.
A brotherly love. Mamusha.
I would have loved to just ask them like what was game buying or collecting like back then in the 80s, because I was really young. I was born in 84, right? And I think it hit me like right here in the good old heart container, because I see myself in those brothers. The fact of the matter is, any of us could die tomorrow, right? Like tomorrow I could be hit by a car and I would feel bad for hurting that car. But imagine if it was like a bus or a plane that hit me. That might be enough to, game over Tito Nate here. That's so sad. At my wife's 40th birthday, the kids were calling me Tito Nate. I'm not Kuya anymore. I'm too old. And this is where the conversation, I think, gets a little tough, as Greg puts it in his video. What would come of the horde were I to die? I would like to think my wife is aware more than most about the value of my collection. Actually, it's really funny. I had a conversation with Ian and Lester, I don't know how many years ago, where I said, if I ever predeceased you guys, it's your job, Ian and Lester, to sell my video game collection, top dollar, give that money to my family. And I know that's not a great plan, but I think it's important to think about, right? What are you gonna do? It's good to plan for it now. It relieves a lot of stress, right? Maybe talk to your family ahead of time about what these items are worth, perhaps getting them appraised, insured, making sure if it's that massive or that substantial, it's in your final will and testament. Because like in the case of those two brothers, I really wish they would have gotten top dollar for their items, at least for their family, if they had family, for their estate. Fucking Michael Keaton out here, vultures, man. But in those last days while we were closing down the trailer, like I was thinking about this quite a bit. I pondered on it a lot, like in front of the fire, in front of the lake. Like what if that armored bus, jet-powered bus full of escaped convicts is about to hit me? Because that would be what it takes to kill me.
Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
In that split second just before that bus hits me, and like my whole life flashes before my eyes and I ponder every decision I made in my life, will I say that this video game collection, this hoard, dying with it gave me the same amount of pleasure, enrichment in my life, as the monetary equivalent of what it's worth, including like the time I spent procuring these items, taking care, storing these items, mental energy I spent on it. Was it worth it at the end of the day? That's honestly a very scary question for me. Again, not a midlife crisis. I just want a motorcycle. And I think it's important to remember that a good life is seldom done by accident. Right? You got to think of all those decisions. If you could look back, say you're on your deathbed and you could look back, what were those decisions, those choices you made in your life that could have made the difference? I think that's a very important exercise that I probably don't do enough. You know, I would recommend other people do it. Just think about your life as like one big story, and you're already at the end. What do you want that story to say, right? And now you're in an advantageous position. You're here now. You're not there yet. You can write that story as time goes. Yes, there are things we cannot control, but we don't worry about that. Fucking bulletproof. But my goal right now isn't to tell you like what's right for you. Heck, I don't even know what's right for me. The point of this was just to kind of explore that topic, get your insights in the comments below, help me think of it from a different perspective. You know, I'm not saying I hate video games. Like I feel like it has enriched my life. To what degree? Still deciding that. But my goal for this segment was to just start that conversation and to think deeply about it, because as we should know, a good life is usually lived on purpose. See, that's a Queen 8. You see what I did there? Lived on purpose because you're purposely making decisions to enrich and better your life, but you're also living your life for a purpose. Huh? Pretty good, right? So I'm assuming, as I'm sure that most of you are the same level of life that I am. You're probably, you know, the questions that are going through my head and are going through yours. So we'll ponder on this as we go along here in the weekly vlogs that we shoot.